Hi, Ofer.
Okay, we're live. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Just wanted to jump on. No news flash. We've got terrible fires here in California, and we just wanted to jump on and provide some quick resources, quick information. Provide a quick forum for us to chat for about 15 minutes if you guys have some questions, and as I said, just provide some resources. So Kent, thank you very much for joining us on the call. I threw this at Kent.
Hi, Kent. We threw this at him.
Hey, everybody.
We threw this at him last minute, but very, very important, timely, relevant. Should we start with Kent giving, aside from being our executive director, should we start with Kent giving some background about himself?
Yeah, just a quick background, and then we can start a conversation, Kent, whatever you feel comfortable with.
I think the thing is that I was in the fire service for 30 plus years, municipal fire service, and also in the end of my career, I worked for the Forest Service for several years, incident command teams. So I have a background in what's happening right now. I have a good understanding of how to analyze what's happening. I have been out of the fire service for a long time, 16 years. But once you're a firefighter, you're always a firefighter. So
yep.
It's like, you know what's going on at all times. Plus our entire family's in the fire service. So I'm constantly getting updated.
Yeah, thanks again.
So,
yeah. Right from the get-go, I want to provide a link, you guys. So we've already, Kent provided some resources. First and foremost, you guys be informed about what's going on around you. And to that end, there are links on our website. I made the website, it is overlandbound.com/fire. That's it, overlandbound.com/fire. I put those resources up prior to the live stream so that they're available to you immediately instead of having to wait for the live stream to be done and go to the description and all that. So that's available right now. And if there are some links that come up, we'll maintain that. It is overlandbound.com/fire. So go there to get information around you. To that point, Kent, if you're an individual and you know there are fires around you, how can you inform yourself? How can you stay informed?
So let's define the question a little bit.
Great.
And find out if you're at home or if you're out on a trip in the middle of nowhere in the field. That would be there's certainly two different things here to talk about.
How about we start at the highest level, which is Kent. Can you tell us a little bit about what is happening in California and Oregon right now? That's the reason why we're talking about this.
Well, currently in California, we have 2.whatever million acres burning, and it's spilled over into this wind event that we just recently had that came out of the cold front came into the Idaho, what they call the Four Corners area, Idaho, Washington, Nevada, and California, and created a wind event, which in the Southern California, they call it a Santa Ana. Here we just call it a north wind event. And when this happened, it sparked more fires. And the fires that were going were, made bigger. The biggest thing that happened last night was in Oregon, in the Medford Talent area. We lost many houses and businesses along the I-5 corridor, plus up into the Central Point. Those are all sparked by wind. Those are all wind-driven events, probably wires down. The events are still going on, actually. I've been trying to monitor them. It's a little hard during midday. I'll know more later in the day. But in California, one of the biggest fires, we've had every fire that's large right now is over 300,000 acres. One of the biggest ones happening in Plumas came down the Feather River Canyon and is now at Lake Orville's eastern shore. That fire went 25,000 acres in approximately, an hour. Last night, and that's the majority of the smoke that we're in right now in Placerville here in El Dorado County and where you're at also is from this fire, even though we have many other large fires like the Mendocino complex, the Oak Fire, which closed Highway 101, on and on. And then we have the Creek Fire down in, near and dear to all three of our hearts is the Shaver Lake area.
Yeah.
And this fire is it's causing havoc. In fact, I would suspect that our beloved Bald Mountain is probably very bald right now.
Yep.
It's not a pretty picture, and it's not stopping. We have fires all over Southern California too, the Valley Fire and the El Dorado Fire, which is in San Bernardino County. I mean, there's just fires, everywhere. I can never remember this happening. Things have changed, obviously, and we've talked about that before in our videos, but I think that what we're dealing with right now is catastrophic, and it has nothing to do with, just because it's California. It's happening all over the Western United States. I mean, it can everywhere. Utah, Colorado was hit hard this year, although they're now Wyoming, Colorado, and those areas are all getting snow. So that's, I wish we would get snow right now.
Yeah.
But we're not.
Yeah.
So as far as that's what's happening right now. I think that's the best context is that, there was a forest order put out recently for Southern California, which closed all forests in Southern California, but it also restricted use of the forest in Northern California. The biggest thing about being in the forest is we should not be in the forest now. And that's, we love to be in the forest. I'd rather be up in the El Dorado right now than I would be sitting here at my desk. But I know not to go because, it'll hamper what's happening in these forests as far as firefighting. But also that I bring in a possible source of ignition by just driving my Jeep up there. We have to be very prudent with everything we do for the next month. Fire season is not over in Western United States. And sometimes, when I was working, we would always think September 1st is the real start of fire season.
Yeah.
Okay, so for people just jumping in, we're talking. We're going to have a bigger conversation about fire safety and things to be thinking about as an individual. Right now, we're getting an overview of what's going on in California and Oregon to spur this conversation. And just going to say hi to Dom and Jandrew, Marco. Hey guys.
Nick, hi.
Hey, what's up, Nick and DC Subi.
Yep.
You guys, hey, James and DJ, it's good to see familiar people always in chat. You guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to, again, thank Kent for being with us on short notice. I know where we're at in the Bay Area, it looks like it's almost close to nighttime.
It's like Mars.
Yeah.
It's just really it's
surreal.
It's really surreal. And to Kent's point, I know he's seen a lot more than I have in terms of fire. For us, from my perspective, this is the worst from a layman's perspective that I've ever seen it or experienced it. There's ash raining down and things are getting covered, and like Corey said, it almost looks like evening here.
So something we talked about was the situation is serious, but we're going to talk actionable items that people can be doing and what to understand, especially if you're in these high-risk fire regions. And that's why we're talking to Kent. And so Kent, you just mentioned it, and I think unfortunately, like we'll have to say it again, it means right now, don't go. Is that what we're hearing? Like, just don't go.
Prudent thing is to not go. And the forest is trying to tell us that, and by regulating us to not go. They've closed certain forests, south of. I think the Stanislaus South is considered what we call South Ops. A lot of people don't think of Stanislaus as the southern part of Southern California, but it is, as far as firefighting management goes. So those are all closed. The ones to the north of us, even the El Dorado here, they are closed all campgrounds. They've closed off. They're restricting dispersed camping. They don't want you to have any source of ignition So no camp stoves, nothing. You know, if they're telling you this, there's no reason to go. Just take their warning and stay home.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be plenty of time to go out and play after it's over.
Yeah, ex Duris Gloria, Forest Service closed everything anyway. It would be totally irresponsible to go up. Correct.
Thank you.
Correct.
Yeah.
However, this doesn't always stop people, so we're reinforcing the importance of listening.
Through the conversation, I pick up little tidbits. I'm underscoring something that Kent said. One, that Jeep is a possible source of ignition, as is an 80, as is any vehicle is a possible source of ignition. But then also, when you're up there, if something happens to you, then you become a distraction to fighting the fire, right? You have to be rescued. Then instead of, putting a fire out, we're rescuing people. So stay away. Don't be a distraction. Don't bring in sources of ignition. Stay out of the forest right now.
And that was very evident in the creek fire recently in Shaver Lake. They rescued 150 to reports anywhere from 150 to 203 people from the Mammoth Pool area, which is just north of Shaver. And the Chinook helicopters had to go in there from the Air Guard. Now, mind you, they probably had no knowledge that this fire was happening.
Right.
So I'm not putting it on these campers. But there was another group that is further up past Huntington Reservoir, 50 plus people that are hiking in the backcountry that were all trapped. And I'm not sure they're all been removed yet, but I believe as of yesterday they were close to getting everybody out. So one of our points we've talked about before is always have situational awareness when you're in the backcountry. We all carry InReaches. So our loved ones, somebody that monitors where we're at can say, hey, you got a fire, it's around the corner from you. What are you doing there? Get the heck out. Mm-hmm. So, you have to be aware of your surroundings, that's super important. I mean, we have members, I talked to members all morning today about what do I do if I'm out there and how do I get the message out? The only way I can tell you to do that is to have good communications, good ham radio, and also the InReach. Mm-hmm. So if you have satellite comms, you're in really good shape. Don't rely on your cell phone. Yeah. Don't rely on social media. Don't rely on Facebook. Rely on tangible things.
Right. We should do another video on that topic, separate note. But in this context, those SATCOMs and those devices become even more relevant besides just texting when you're going to get home off the trail, right?
Yeah. And, in different times, when you are going out there, when you are heading off the grid, it's great. We advocate it. And then along with that is a serious responsibility for real situational awareness. Like you have to know, you got to know before you leave. You have to see what's going on in the area. And then you need a way to stay posted about what is transpiring in the area. So maybe it's good when you start out, but you need to be informed. And InReach is a way to do that. If you're going off the grid, is to be able to have that communication.
Here's so something actionable in this conversation, which for me, I never mind a good refresher course. Kent, can you take us through Campfire 101 safety? Like just 101, especially as it relates to how do you properly put a campfire out? That's the big one there for me, at least.
The first thing you do is on your calendar, on your phone, January 1st, you put on get your fire permit. So in California and most of the federal agencies, you get on the same website. I'd have to look it up. We'll put it on our site for you. But you get on there and you have to take a test. It's a little quiz on how to start a fire and how you clearance, 10 feet of clearance all the way around, carrying a gallon of water, making sure you have a shovel, making sure you don't have, you're not, up against dry brush or you're starting a fire on an old log. That happens. People have done that. And that's the main thing, is to get your campfire permit. You need a campfire permit to even run a stove.
And so,
a propane.
And Dom is asking, hey Dom, it's a yearly permit?
Yearly, it's free. In California, it happens to be the interagency campfire permit, which is good for any federal or state land. So if it's good for any federal land, you can take it out of the state too.
Okay.
And again, just to mention this again, mid-conversation, overlandbound.com/fire. We're updating with links there. If you go there now, we've got some informational links and resources. We'll add the fire permit link to that as well. Mm-hmm. So we'll update that. It's overlandbound.com/fire. Kent, so breaking down one of our initial questions, you're at home. You want to know what's going on. How do you do that?
Everybody should, if they're within an area that it has hazards like wildland fire or any other type of hazard, should connect with their local government agency, whether that be a city, a county, or in some cases, CAL FIRE, or even some federal agencies. They all have the ability to send you notifications of emergencies on which you can select what type of emergencies you want to be notified about. In order to do this, you just get on the website, say, I want to know all about fires within a certain area. And in California, if you'll say your parents live in another county, you can even monitor fires in that county, if you're nervous about that. We do that. We monitor one in Sonoma County. So that's the number one way to stay in touch. The other way to stay in touch is by social media. There a lot of these agencies like CAL FIRE, the federal, each forest has a Facebook page. One thing I need to stress about social media is that don't just take social media as the rule for finding information. It's really important to stay within a regulatory agency like a state or county government. It's really important.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get bad information. I'm on the Creek Fire support page on Facebook, and you can't believe how much different information you get. And there's a lot of what ifs and question marks and a lot of speculation. That's what's going to. You have to stay away from that. You have to stay with facts. So the best way to find out is to get notifications from your agency that's where you're at. So if you're in Santa Rosa in Sonoma County, Santa Rosa proper has their own alert agency or network, and so does Sonoma County. You can get two different alerts. And this is really helpful. I mean, it really is. You can, anywhere you can, and that could go as far as PG&E too. Get the PG&E alerts and find out when there's a weather event. You may not even have known, but they're going to shut your power off. Mm-hmm. So, that's the more of that type of alerting you can get to your phone, which is, your way of living now, the better. And that's the safest way.
And that's an automated text alert. Once you sign up, you'll be getting text messages about those things.
And I can't tell you, but it's 100% reliable, because there's always issues with them. No matter what, with any kind of computer system, you're going to end up with an issue. And that happens a lot. You'll end up you might get an alert that you shouldn't get. But very rarely are you not going to get the alert. There will be that time. I mean, everything fails.
Yep.
So that's why I like multiple platforms.
Yep.
Right, redundancy.
It's like redundancy on your Jeep.
Yep.
I mean, everything you have. That's why you have CO2 in a compressor.
Belt and suspenders. Yeah.
Okay, so far we have get your permit, your
Mike,
campfire permit, and have redundant sources of alerting and information. We also have make sure if you are venturing off grid and into the realms where cell phone coverage is not an option. Lock down your satellite comms solutions, whether that be I said DeLorme, Garmin, InReach, a Spot, just something. And part of the purpose of that also being that you tell people where you're going and that you're gone, and give them that connection, that for us it's that phone number, so that they can text you if something's up. So it's really about it's about having multiple points of contact, multiple points of alert, just being equipped, knowing every year you got to get that license. You got to get your Campfire permit. That's it. You just do it. Like you said, January 1st, fire it up, refresh, cause I'm going to speak to behavior I've witnessed, but I'm also going to speak to impulses I have at times that I've kept in check, which is a little bit of the good enough. It's good enough, right? When it comes to campfires, making sure they're out, and not going the extra step to truly check to see that it is, just because it's not smoking and just because you don't see heat escaping from the campfire doesn't mean that it's out. Is that correct?
It is. You have to take the back of your hand and put it on the coals.
Okay.
And that's super important. We were on the spine of the Sierras last year, I believe, and right off the Rubicon Trail, and had a brand new member with us that hadn't been four-wheeling before ever. Put all sorts of water on there, but didn't turn the fire over, didn't stir it up. And sure enough, we came back after, one of our trail runs, and there was smoking away. So you just don't know. It's so important. And I was trying to find an article. Somebody made a post on on Facebook this morning in regards to we notified everybody about the Forest Service closures. And he said that he was just recently in a forest and came across 2 fires in fire pits that were still going. So it's happening. People just need to be uber, aware of what's going on in their environment.
Yeah.
Stay
it's
vigilant.
Very scary.
Yep.
Yeah, be vigilant. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And guys, we are reading the comments. Thanks, James, for asking, and thanks, Clinton, for jumping in. We're gonna circle back with these questions, starting with Carnax with Kent here in a moment. Yeah, I guess I wasn't really I guess when it comes to campfires, you have to go the extra step and a half to make sure that, it also ties into leave no trace.
Yep.
Just making sure you're leaving a point at the baseline that at minimum, the baseline that you entered the point in, including fire.
Stay super vigilant. Just do it. Do the same process every time you go out, like Kent was saying. Super important. The fires we have now, made worse by the winds. Kent, we're not traveling to the forest now. There's a crisis happening, and now we are staying out of the forest. Mm-hmm. In different times, a couple months down the road. Once I travel up into the forest, how do I stay informed about what's going on, or how do I maintain my situational awareness once I'm traveling?
If you're in the forest, some of the things you have to be very aware of is, number one, weather. Mm-hmm. And know that it hasn't rained in a long time. And in the early evening, if it starts to get windy and the wind feels warmer than normal, be vigilant of what might happen. This happens quite often, that fires will start at night, or they'll pick up at night, and you'll be camping and have no idea and not know your way out. So also, that's another thing, is you have to be very good with your mapping systems. That one way in, one way out thing that's a situational awareness of watch out. If that's the only way I can get in, the only way I can get out, man, I better make sure I can get out. And you have to think about the worst case scenario all the time. It doesn't matter. I mean, it could be middle of the winter and trees go over the road. You still maybe need to get out. So situational awareness is the key. Know what's happening in your environment, and that's, you have to be very careful about that. That makes sense?
Yep.
It does. Are there radio frequencies or other things that I can check?
Yeah, this is a question from Fletcher Matthews. What about radio frequencies? Are there radio resources we could tune into on the road?
You can take National Weather Service. You can get the National Weather Service just about anywhere in the United States, regardless of where you're at. You can also listen to public agencies. You can listen to the U.S. Forest Service on your ham radio. You can't transmit on those channels, but you can listen to them. You can listen to Campfire. Any agency basically that is out there, you can listen to. That would give you some information, but specific information about alerts and everything, the best thing to do is to find out where you're going, who is responsible for that area, and have some contact information for that. So if you're in the Mendocino National Forest, find out which ranger district you're going to be in, because that's going to be important to know if there's a fire on one side of Mount Lassen, or not Mount Lassen, wrong forest. But the Mendo, you could be on Highway I-5 side, or are you on the 101 side? Mm-hmm. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of miles. So it's a big difference. You need to know where you're at. And then what you hear, the information you hear, you got to be able to utilize that information.
Okay. That's good.
Let me throw in something real fast here. We were just informed by one of our member representatives, Frank Martinez, in Orange County, that all forests in California are temporarily closed by forest order in Vallejo as of right now.
Okay.
All forests, not just the ones in Southern California.
Roger that.
So stay clear.
Stay clear, stay safe.
What was James just Coyle? What was the number for alerts? I missed it. We're gonna have all of this on overlandbound.com/fire.
Yeah, so we created a web page before the stream, so you don't have to wait until after the stream to get it. It's it's overlandbound.com/fire. And we have a number of links and resources up there currently, but we've mentioned more resources in this conversation, like where to get your fire permit, stay educated, also some radio frequency sources. We'll add more links to that page. So if you guys have that page and you check it, we'll add some more links in it within hours of this conversation. So it'll be even more resources out there.
Yeah. Gary Jolson has a great question. Who should we contact if we find campfires that are not put out properly?
Whoever, if it's in the forest, contact the local Forest Service.
Okay.
You can find the station. You see anybody in a pickup truck, tell them.
Yep, and remediate if you can. But then there are going.
Well, if you find a campfire, remediate right away.
Yeah.
Right.
Water, stir it, and put your hand on it.
Yep. Yeah, and certainly if it's a situation larger than you can deal with or handle, then contact the appropriate folks. And ideally, you would know who that is before you travel into that area. Have that contact information. Something to remember, though, if you are in the backcountry and you do come across a fire, let's say a lightning start, which is, backcountry lightning start, which has not been reported yet, and it's obviously too big for you to handle, and you're going to be getting out of there. Take a quick GPS waypoint of where it's at, and if you have your phone, take a picture of the origin, and then get out. Find the Forest Service, find that cell site, whatever you've got to do to report it. But that information you give will be very important to the responding firefighters, especially the GPS waypoint. Yep. Know your GPS waypoint. Also, keep in mind, most phones, unless you explicitly turn it off, will embed a tremendous amount of data in the photo. Mm-hmm. So if you just have the photo, you're able to send that. The data that is stored with that photo will include GPS coordinates, elevation, and a lot of those things. All right. Well, you guys, again, some resources, overlandbound.com/fire.
And we are discussing, we're transparent and live here. We're discussing about how we can pull fire information into OB1.
It's complicated, but
It's complicated, but we're
talking about it.
From our end, from the Overland Bound end, we're actively discussing how to get information out, multiple points of acquiring the information needed. So if we can pull it into OB1, we're figuring that out. I don't want to overpromise, but
yeah, not at this time. You'll certainly hear if we're able to do that, but
Yeah.
we're looking into it.
yeah.
Kent, thank you
Thanks, Kent.
a bunch for jumping on and providing some information. It's really appreciated.
Yeah. Hey, Jack. Good to see your face. To the chat. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yep.
It's always good to see familiar names and
Stay safe.
shoot,
Stay safe, you guys. All right.
And we'll keep updating overlandbound.com/fire. We'll add as much information as possible to it, and
Yep.
it'll keep growing and just be there.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Kent, any closing thoughts?
And watch for Trail Guardian events
Yeah.
this year and next year. We'll be in the forest trying to help them get back started.
Yep. It's a very good
Post-fire rehab.
Yep.
Very good point. All these fires means there's a lot of work to do when the smoke clears. So we'll be reaching out to our community as part of the Trail Guardian program to collaborate and do some maintenance in these areas.
Yeah. I think it's Q Asmon. I'm gonna butcher it, but thank you for being a wildland firefighter.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
All right, you guys. Another thank you to Nick DeLuca, MadeMan925, who reached out earlier this week and also requested that we put out some fire safety information out there.
Yeah.
So people have a resource. So thanks, Nick. Thanks, Kent. We'll talk to you guys. We'll talk to you guys all soon.
Thanks, Kent.
All right. Have a good day,
Okay.
everybody.
Bye.